Gamers, it is a good day to be a Master Duel fan. A lot happening in the game right now. There's a new campaign. You're going to be getting 1,000 free gems throughout the week. We got a free Photon C62 Royal Rare. A lot of cool things are happening, and most importantly, we finally have Fire Kings in the game. And so today we're going to be talking about Fire King Snake Eyes, but don't worry, very shortly after, most likely tomorrow or maybe later the day that you're watching this, whatever, I'm also going to be dropping a pure Fire King video. I practice both decks a lot, and I wanted to start with the Fire King Snake Eyes deck because I think it's potentially going to be the best deck in the game. I'm still not 100% on that, to be fair, because I do think Rescue A Snake Eyes has the advantage of playing really well into Max C, which might give it the edge. So yeah, it's lining up to be a pretty busy week with this video, and then I have to do the pure Fire King video, and then, wait, what's after that? Oh yeah, join me on June 9th, Sunday at 12 p.m. EST. We have our big Master Duel Central Cup happening, and I know you guys probably heard about this a couple of times at this point if you're avid viewers of the channel, but registrations are now open, and we simplified the process a little bit because there were a couple of issues with the way we did signups originally, and then we had to postpone. So we're changing it up a bit. Now all you need to do to sign up is you're gonna have to fill the Google form that's in the description and join the Master Duel Central Discord. That's it. Both links are in the description. And let me emphasize, it is a free tournament with $175 in prizing. That's $100 for first place, $50 for second, $25 for third. Really nice amount of prizing for a free tourney, and that's all thanks to CootsMcG, who's providing the prizing. So if you guys ever catch CootsMcG in the Twitch chat, make sure to give him some love. I'm really excited for this tournament. It's our first official one. The tourney is best of one, Swiss rounds. Top cut is going to be best of three. There is no side deck, and you can only play the deck that you submit before. So make sure that you like your deck before submitting your deck list in the Google form. You can submit your deck list through Master Duel Meta's deck builder, or you can just take a screenshot of your deck in the game, whatever you prefer. I think that's pretty much all the info you should need. When you join the Discord, there's going to be a tournament rules channel where you can just go read the rules a bit more in depth if you want to get acquainted with them. But yeah, I hope to see you guys in high numbers. It's going to be a ton of fun, and it's going to be a really long stream Sunday. So if you're not participating, at least you should maybe show up and just enjoy the show. Either way, that's all I have to say about the tournament for now. Let's get into this deck profile, and I'm going to show you the deck list. So yeah, as you can see, I'm at Master 4 now. I actually got to Master with this deck, so definitely a very solid deck. I got to Master, then, you know, it's not to say I had 100% win rate, but I am on a 4-game win streak right now, and I'm in Master 4, so we are doing quite good with the list. I think this is a solid list, but I will say, I don't think Fire King Snake Eyes is solved just yet. I think there's going to be a lot of different ways that you can play this deck. So I don't want you to look at this list as law. I just want you to look at it as a way to play it and an introduction to the deck for you. But if you would prefer, you know, I have considered running the Eternity XCs. So, you know, if you have Eternity and you don't have a second Promethean, I think that'd be an easy switch for you. Just remove the second Promethean, throw in an Eternity, and, you know, with your continuous spell of the Fire King engine, you're going to be able to potentially go into this XCs on opponent's turn. But I might be jumping the gun a little bit here, so let me quickly introduce you to Fire King as an engine in Snake Eyes and why I think it's really good. You guys might have seen that I already made a little like Fire King Snake Eyes introduction video a couple of days ago, so I don't want to retread old ground too much, but still, just to give you a quick breakdown here, you have Ponix, and this is the card that you're going to be summoning off of Original. So this is basically your bridge between Snake Eyes and Fire Kings. Then you have the Fire King High Avatar Kirin. This card is useful as both an extender and as a way to protect yourself from interruption. For example, if you have Kirin in hand and you went and normal summoned Snake Ash and they activated Imperm, Kirin has the quick effect of destroying a fire monster and special summoning itself. So that's a good way that you can play through interruption using the Fire King engine. Actually, that's one of the best things about this engine. It's going to allow Snake Eyes to play through more interruption and also play through evenly. I'm going to show you that a bit later. Another important aspect of this engine is the Arvada. Arvada is a monster negate, as well as being an extender. If it's destroyed, it'll special summon a Fire King monster from the graveyard. But Arvada is a monster negate that's really easy to summon from the graveyard on turn 2 and gives you a little bit extra spice when you're activating your Promethean Princess from the graveyard. So what you want to do with Arvada is, like, on turn 1, you can destroy him from the deck by summoning Garunix. So on summon Garunix, pops the Arvada. Then on your opponent's turn, if they ever destroy a fire monster, or you can also destroy your own fire monster using something like Promethean Princess, that's going to trigger the Garunix Engrave to special summon itself, And on summon, you can then pop a Kyrian from your deck, and if Kyrian is destroyed, Kyrian will bring back your Arvada. So now, from your Promethean Princess, you're actually going to get a second pop from Kyrian and a Monster Negate. So that's 2 pops and a Monster Negate off of Promethean, putting an immense amount of pressure on your opponent just from having Princess on top of a Garunix in the grave. So that's one of the big things about this engine. Not to mention, again, you can play through evenly. I can't wait to show you that stuff. We have all those replays already set up. I don't want to go too in-depth in this introduction to the deck. Instead, what I'm going to show you now is a replay of the complete full combo, after which I'm going to show you another replay that's your line into evenly. That's going to be a super valuable line to learn, and it's going to teach you a lot of the intricacies of this engine and how much it actually adds to Snake Eyes. And of course, at the end of the video, I'm going to do the card by card as per usual. But let's get into that replay. So again, the first replay I'm showing you here, this is just absolute full combo. It's really, really good. To have complete full combo with this deck, the ideal hand is Diabel plus Bonfire. It's not like you can't do crazy combos without them, but I'm just showing you top ceiling stuff for this deck. Really, really like the board this sets up, and I want to give a huge shout out to Pitasovs, who taught me this combo, as well as the line into evenly. He's been a huge help with this deck. So either way, let's keep going here. We're going to start off with the Bonfire, grabbing ourselves a Snake Eye Ash, and you're going to start off with the Snake Eye Ash here, mostly because if they like use their imperm on Snake Eye Ash, let's say, I mean, Diabel getting the original is a lot more valuable, in my opinion, than Ash getting the Poplar. I mean, I guess that's debatable, but it's also like the fact that Diabel doesn't use your normal summon, so you can just discard a card from your hand to summon her, and you still have a body that you can use for link materials and stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons to go for Snake Ash first. So either way, at this point, we go for the Poplar effect, special the Poplar. Poplar's going to search the field spell, actually. We're going to go for the field spell, and you put the Flamberge in the back row. So at this point, you're sending the field spell and Snake Ash to summon Oak. This might seem really weird, but we're actually playing around Nibiru even without having the field spell. The reason for that is because at pretty much any given moment, if they went Nibiru during our combo, we have the Diabel Star in hand to just send the Flamberge to the grave and trigger the Flamberge anyway. So it doesn't even matter that their Nibiru wouldn't trigger our field spell. We still are playing around Nib here. So either way, we go for Oak at this point, bring back the Snake Ash from the grave. Using Ash and Poplar, we can go into Salamangrate, Sunlight Wolf. We can go for Poplar effect, putting itself in the back row. Then we send Poplar to the grave to summon out the Diabel Star. We go for Diabel Star effect, setting the original. And again, yeah, we're about to link off our Oak here, but even at this point, if they went Nibiru, we have original that even if they Ash the original, we could still send the Flamberge to grave for cost. And at very, very least, if they went Nib and Ash here, we would still get at least, you know, an Amblo pass with the Promethean Princess in the grave. So like we get a pretty decent worst case scenario board. So we're still technically playing around Nibiru even at this point in the combo. So here we go. We're going for a Linkuriboh under the Sunlight Wolf. Sunlight Wolf can then add Oak. This is going to be basically your grind game on turn 3 with the Snake Eyes engine. And now we can go for a Selene. And basically the way that this works is that since you have a Bonfire and a Divine Temple in the grave, and that your Flamberge is treated as a continuous spell, you technically have access to 3 spells on the field and in the grave here. So you get 3 counters on your Selene, and you can bring back your Diabel. At this point, you want to use your Selene and your Linkuriboh to make an Appaloosa. You're keeping the Diabel as a material for IP later. And now we can go for original. We have a Monster Negate. We don't have to worry about Nibiru anymore, so we can just go crazy at this point. So we summon Ponix with our original. Ponix is going to search a Fire King spell, and of course our Flamberge is going to summon 2 from the grave here. So we're summoning out the Snake Ash, and we're summoning out the Poplar. Sorry, forgot the name for a second there. So going for Fire King Sanctuary to set up the Fire King Island. Obviously, normally the Sanctuary would activate Island from the deck, but I already had it in hand. So I was just doing this to show you the combo regardless, you know. So anyway, here we go ahead and link off the Ponix and the Poplar for a Dual Little Chimera. And with our Diabel as well as our Snake Ash, we make IP Masquerena. Now we can go for our field spell effect and pop the Dual Little Chimera, which allows us to add Garunix to our hand. And because a fire monster was destroyed, we'll get to trigger the Garunix. And also in the graveyard, because Chimera was destroyed, it'll get to add back the Ponix. And this is really like the craziest line that you get, I think, off of the Fire King engine. So here we go. We go for Garunix. We get the Dual Little Chimera effect in the grave, targeting the Ponix. Special summon out the Garunix as Chainlink 2. So Garunix summon. Dual Little Chimera, add Ponix, and then on summon, Garunix can destroy the Arvada from my deck. Arvada triggers, can special summon a Fire Beast, Winged Beast, or Beast Warrior from the grave, so we actually get to bring back our Chimera as a nice Link 2 material, and because the monster was destroyed, we get to special summon the Ponix from the hand, right? So this is really, really crazy gas. Summoning out the Ponix, bringing out the Dual Little Chimera, use Ponix and Chimera, we can make ourselves a Promethean Princess, bring back the Flamberge, of course, and now, very simply, we go into our Amblo, and we turn our Amblo into a Zealantis. This is your end board. And I know you're looking at this like, this is a weird end board. Why are you making Zealantis on turn 1? Basically, Zealantis being under Appaloosa here, you know, Appaloosa only has 1600 attack at this moment, so just by having Zealantis over here, if our opponent were to go for battle phase just to beat over the Appaloosa and not have to worry about it, well, we can just go for the Zealantis effect and clear whatever monsters they have on the field. You know, we have 2 co-linked links, which means we have 2 pop with the Zealantis. Not to mention, obviously we have the pressure of the Promethean Princess in the graveyard, so if they were to special summon something, we could go Promethean Princess, pop Flamberge, pop whatever they summon, and then we get to summon out the Promethean Princess, which, because a fire monster was destroyed, we get to trigger Garunix. Garunix would summon, and Garunix could then pop a Kirin from the deck and summon our Arvada. So we would get 2 pops, and we would get a monster negate out of our Arvada on the field. So it's a ton of pressure that we have here. More importantly, though, this line also plays really, really well into Evenly. Now, I can't show you the Evenly line this replay, but I did get a replay with a member of the Discord just so we could actually show you what this deck can do into Evenly. Took a couple retries for that. You should actually drop a like on the video just for the amount of takes that we had to do to get a hand with Evenly and a hand with the full combo. But anyway, let's just keep going here. So we get Flamberge effect. We're going to put Sunlight Wolf in the back row. Sunlight Wolf is cool to put in the back row because you can summon it with Flamberge and put it where this, you know, pointing to the extra monster zone. So if they summon anything in the extra monster zone, you get to add a fire card from your grave to your hand. Just a pretty neat effect that you have access to here. So that's why we went for that. Either way, I'm going to summon out the Sunlight Wolf, and my opponent is going to go for Dimensional Fissure. In response to Dimensional Fissure, I'm instantly going to chain my IP Masquerena because I don't want my Flamberge getting banished. So I'm going to go straight for an SP Little Knight. And now we have even more co-linked monsters, so we could pop even more potentially in the battle phase with our Zealantis. We're going to go for Flamberge, and they're going to go for the called by. We get our Flamberge negated regardless, right? It gets banished regardless, but honestly, we have so much graveyard pressure here, and plus we have Maxi and Valor, which are going to be able to resolve since we remove the Fissure, that I actually don't really mind that they called by the Flamberge here. They're going to go for a Pot of Desires. They're back to 5 cards in hand, and I still felt super comfortable, and they just cooped it up. So yeah, I think that's like a really, really, really good showcase for just the full power, the full brunt of the Fire King engine within Snake Eyes. Obviously, we didn't get much of a grind game there, but still, super insane stuff. So next up, I want to show you our line into Evenly. It's the same combo, so I'm just going to skip the combo part since you literally just looked at the full combo, and instead we're just going to go straight to what we do when we get Evenly. It's a pretty meticulous process, but when you sneak your way through that Evenly, you're going to end up with an insane board. So let me show you. All right, so here we are. It is Jadistic's turn, and we've set up the full combo board. And again, this was not a duel. It took us like 30 or 40 takes to just get a duel where I have like that insane full combo and he has Evenly in hand. So again, drop a like for that, man. No other YouTubers going through that much effort just to get one replay, okay? It took me like longer to get this replay than it did for me to get to like Master 4 with this deck today. So I'm just pointing that out. Either way. So here we go. We're going to go step by step here. It goes to battle phase and Jadistic activates Evenly. So what we can do in the battle phase is we can activate the Zealantis, and what you want to do is you're going to pop the IP Masquerena and the Flamberge in response to Evenly, and you're going to banish everything other than Appaloosa. So here we go. Zealantis effect. Pop these two. There we go. Now Evenly resolves and everything gets banished other than Appaloosa. At this point, the Chainlink order is very important. So you want to go Chainlink 1, Flamberge, Chainlink 2, Garunix effect. So Garunix is going to summon himself from the graveyard here. Summon the Garunix. We're going to go slow here because I really don't want you to mess this up. This is a pretty intricate line. So at this point, you get Garunix effect, Chainlink 1. Then you go for these 2 effects, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3. And at the end of your chain, you want to go for Poplar, Tribute. You want to go for Linkuriboh, Tribute, Poplar. And it has to be Poplar, okay? Very, very important that you tribute Poplar with your Linkuriboh here. You'll see why in a second. So summon Linkuriboh. Poplar gets to add whatever spell. Ash gets to add whatever monster. Don't summon this Poplar. You don't need it. And then Garunix from deck will destroy a Kirin. So at this point, you want to go Kirin, Chainlink 1, Poplar, Chainlink 2. This is also extremely important. The reason for that is because your Poplar is going to put the Ambler Whale in the back row. And then when Kirin summons the Arvada out of the graveyard, it's going to pop the Ambler Whale, which is actually going to trigger the Ambler Whale engrave, allowing you to bring back the IP Masquerena that you did not use yet. So when your opponent is trying to threaten you with an evenly, you can just not care about it at all when you're doing this combo. So if they're bluffing you, that bluff is not going to work, and you're not going to be wasting your IP Masquerena. So at this point, here we go. Poplar Chainlink 2, target Ambler Whale. We put Ambler Whale in the back row. Then we get the Kirin effect, summon Arvada, and then you get to pop the Ambler Whale. Ambler Whale will special summon IP Masquerena from the graveyard, and there you go. This is what you get after you get even lead with this deck. You get IP Masquerena, you still have your 2 monster negates on Appaloosa, you have a monster negate with Arvada as well, and you have a bunch of searching and setup for next turn on top of a massive board that is going to be really, really tough to crack. So I really don't think you can sleep on this. Not to mention, you haven't even used your Promethean Princess yet, so you also have access to that pop throughout this turn if they were to special summon after. So you have still a lot of interruption here. Our opponent is activating the King Sarcophagus. I just told him to activate a card so I could just use IP and make SP because, you know, it's SP season out here in Master Duel, okay? So we're going for the SP. I'm going to banish it, and then I think Jadistic just scooped it up right after this. Yeah. Thank you again to Jadistic, by the way. That was so annoying getting that replay, but I hope it was worthwhile. I mean, that line into evenly is incredible, and also thank you to Pizza Sauce for teaching me this line because, like, it is so freaking good. All right, so last thing I want to do before the card by card is I just want to give you the line with only Snake Eye Ash. So what I'm going to do with this hand is I'm just not going to use any of these cards, except we're going to pretend that I search original once I summon Poplar off of the Snake Eye Ash, since I already have it in hand, but it's going to be the same as if I just went for Snake Eye Ash. So we're going to start off with Bonfire here, and we're going to grab the Snake Eye Ash. So there it is. Yeah, so we're going to go normal Ash, Ash search Poplar, of course, nothing new there. So Ash search Poplar. Very cool. And we actually do play around Nibiru with this line. So we go for the Poplar effect. Well, you get to choose if you want to play around Nibiru is what I'll say. Then Poplar effect here, we get to grab normally original. So we'll just grab these Sinful Spoils and we just won't use it. You know, we'll pretend that we searched original here since we already had it. At this point, on your third summon, you're going to go for a Linkuriboh using the Poplar. Very good. Poplar effect. So your next play here is to just go original, send the Poplar to the grave yet again. And you can summon out your Ponix. And Ponix has a good amount of resource to it. So you go for Ponix effect, grab your continuous spell, your Fire King Sanctuary. And now we can activate the Fire King Sanctuary and activate our field spell straight from the deck, the Fire King Island. So at this point, we have 4 summons, right? So we're going to go for our Snake Eye Ash, sending the Fire King Sanctuary continuous spell to the graveyard, and we can summon the Flamberge on field as our 5th summon. So that way, if they chose to Nibiru, you would at least, you know, get your Flamberge effect. You'd get to go into a Promethean line. You could also use the Fire King Island after you summon something from the grave with Promethean and get a bunch of advantage that way. But here, basically, you get 2 options. If you want to play around Nibiru, you basically just leave this Flamberge here. But if you choose not to play around Nibiru, then at this point, you can make yourself a Chimera Duel Little, you know, with these 2, and then you could do the whole line I showed you earlier where you pop the Duel Little, bring back the Ponix to the hand with Duel Little, summon out the Garunix, pop a Arvada from the deck. All of that stuff, you would get to do that here. But I'm going to be playing around Nibiru. I'm going to show you the line around Nibiru with just Snake Eye Ash. It's not as impressive of a combo, but it is nice that it plays around Nibiru, right? So at this point, what you do is you go for your Fire King Island effect, and you just pop the Ponix. So target the Ponix here, and you get to add to your hand a Garunix. So add the Garunix. You get to trigger the Garunix in hand, and you get to special summon it because a fire monster was destroyed. At this point, you get to go for Garunix effect, and you pop the Arvada from your deck. And Arvada will get its effect in the grave, and it can summon back the Ponix. So you bring back the Ponix here, bring back the Ponix. Now with these 2, you can make yourself an IP Masquerena, just like so. Very cool. And basically what we're going to do to play around Nibiru is we're just never going to put Flamberge in the grave. So we go like Promethean Princess using the IP as well as the Linkuriboh. Promethean Princess here. At this point, you can go for Flamberge effect, put your IP in the back row to summon it on opponent's turn. And with Flamberge, with the Promethean Princess, sorry, you get to bring back a fire monster from the grave and to just go into Amblo Pass. Now, this might not seem like the craziest thing, but it's actually quite good. So when you go Amblo here, let me just summon the Amblo real quick. What you actually have with Amblo here is more than just Amblo, because your Flamberge is going to summon IP on opponent's turn. You have your full Promethean Garunix set up in the grave, which is a massive amount of pressure because you get your Promethean Princess here, but then your Promethean Princess will also proc your Garunix. Your Garunix is going to summon itself from the grave because a fire monster was popped by Promethean. Then Garunix on summon will trigger, pop a Kirin from the deck, bring back the Arvada, and Arvada's a monster negate, right? So what you're really getting off of this is you're getting IP Masquerena, you're getting the Promethean pop, plus another pop from Kirin, plus a monster negate, not to mention the resource loop that you'll get off of just the Flamberge effect in the grave. So this is still a lot of pressure while playing around Nibiru if you only have your Snake Ash combo without access to Diabel Star. So I still think it's really, really strong. So yeah, at this point, we're playing against the bot Monarchs, so I'm not really sure what they're even going to do. Like, they might not even special summon, and if they don't, then it might be a struggle for us to actually get to proc the Promethean and show it off. I'll just wait for them to have like a card on the field that I can banish with my IP Masquerena. All right, so that works. So we're going to go for IP Masquerena here. We're going to go into our SP using the Flamberge as well as the IP. So summon out SP. That looked a little weird. But yeah, summon out the SP. Now we can go for Flamberge effect as well as the SP effect to banish one of the back rows that our opponent set here. So we'll banish that. And now I'm just going to show you all the setup that we had. Like, let's say, because our opponent, obviously, we're playing against the bot. They're not going to special summon anything. But I can still just force it out by using the effect of Kirin back here. So we're just going to do that, just so I can show you that the graveyard setup is actually really good. And now, if they were to special summon, we would get to pop a fire monster with our Promethean. But here, I'll just show it this way instead. So let's just go Kirin. And Kirin, we want to pop the Poplar here. Then we get to trigger our Garunix, and we can also trigger the Poplar and just put it in the back row. Man, chaining is so slow in this game sometimes, man. All right, so we get to summon Garunix, and now Garunix gets the trigger on summon, right? Pop a fire monster out of the deck. We're going to pop a Kirin, obviously. And then Kirin, a graveyard effect, will trigger. We get our Arvada, right? So we get a monster negate out of it. We obviously could have had monster negates also by just making Appaloosa on opponent's turn. And we also get a pop from that, right? So we get not only a monster negate, but we get to remove the other back row. So still, really impressive showing, I think, for what is essentially just a normal summon Snake Eye Ash. Again, I didn't use any other cards in my hand to do that whole line. And it comes back to me with this insanity on board. Not to mention, we never needed to use our Promethean Princess. So we actually had even more interruption than what we used up there. So yeah. Again, the board looked unimpressive, but it's actually quite good. All right, and let's finish it off with the classic MDC card by card. I just realized I forgot to put back the third. Yes, I'm running 41 because I'm running 3 Imperm. It is what it is, okay? But here we go, card by card. Obviously, we have the insane hand trap package. So we've got our 3 Veiler. Then we've got our Snake Eye package, only 1 Ash now, 1 copy of Oak, and 2 Poplar. And of course, the Bridge, which is our 1 Ponix. We've got the 3 Maxi, the 3 Ash, the Arvada, which is not only an extender, but also a monster negate. In fact, in some scenarios, you might end up with Arvada in hand, and then like a bunch of hand traps, and you might just play Arvada control for a turn until you get back to your turn and potentially get into more plays. So definitely a very interesting card. 3 copies of Diabel Star. You kind of have to play 3, especially with Wanted at 1. This card, as you guys saw in the like crazy full combo, it adds a lot to your board if you can land a Diabel plus like Snake Eye Ash in a turn. So definitely a must play at 3. 1 copy of Flamberge. If you guys want to play more than 1 Flamberge, it's up to you. We'll do what you want, but I'm not running more than 1 Flam. It doesn't even really come up for me. There hasn't been a moment where I've been like, oh my god, I wish I had another Flam in my deck. We got the one of Secret Fire King Garunix. This is just a crazy search target off of Fire King Island that triggers and then pops Arvada from the deck, or on opponent's turn, when it triggers in the grave, you pop a Kirin, you bring back Arvada, you get to pop a monster, and you get a monster negate. That stuff is crazy. It adds a ton of pressure to the Snake Eyes board. Love this card. 3 Kirin. Kirin is just really, really good. The thing about Kirin, I mentioned this earlier, but not only is it good to extend your plays or its pop effect in the grave on opponent's turn, being able to bring back Arvada and pop a card is awesome, but also just the fact that you can dodge imperm by popping your own fire monster using curing is a huge advantage. It's really, really good. I'm running the 1 Nibiru and 2 talents. Originally, I was running 2 Nibiru, 1 talents, and I keep switching between. I'm undecided. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what I prefer. 1 copy of Sinful Spoils. I guess I could remove this to run 40, but honestly, this card has come up for me quite a few times, especially because I've noticed some stun decks get really popular lately. So I like having access to this card. 3 copies of Bonfire. This is 3 extra copies of Snake Ash, obviously. 1 copy of Original, our Fire King Island, our Divine Temple. As you guys saw, you actually search Divine Temple with Poplar as like your main combo line, basically, when you get everything. 1 copy of the Sanctuary, double Called By, 1 Crossout, our 1 Wanted. Unfortunately, rest in peace, 3 Wanted, and triple Imperm. In the extra deck, we've got our Utmost Essential Linkuriboh. This card is not only good, you know, because it sets up your Poplar, it puts it back in the back row, but also Linkuriboh can be used to like dodge Imperm on your Ponix once it's set up in the graveyard. There's a lot of value to have a Linkuriboh in the graveyard, so awesome card, obviously. Dual Little Chimera is a star now. You need this card. If you're playing Snake Eyes Fire King and you're not running Dual Little Chimera, you're doing something wrong, man, because popping this card with the Fire King Island and getting to summon it back with the Arvada to make a Promethean Princess with Ponix and Dual Little, while also having the Garunix on the field, is just so free and it's so crazy. Absolute must play. The Nightmare Phoenix. I haven't summoned this once. This is a flex spot. Do what you want with it. Sunlight Wolf. It's a part of your integral full combo, and the fact that it brings back an Oak that gives you a really good grind game on turn 3, I think you definitely should play this card. The Hita is just an obvious include because you can bring back Ash. We have the IP Masquerena. We have the Dark. Dark is also a flex spot. I haven't summoned it once. I get it. It's cool. You can summon the Diabel from your opponent's grave. If that comes up, you feel awesome. Also, you know, you can use your Linkuriboh, so you can like bring back Linkuriboh from the grave by tributing a monster and then make a Dark on turn 3 so it can come up. It's a good card. I'm keeping it for now, but kind of a flex spot. Hasn't come up yet. SP Little Knight, must play, crazy. Selene, part of your main combo, but you don't always get to have it. If you normal summon Ash without searching it with Bonfire on turn 1, you might be lacking spells in the grave when you get to Selene. There are ways to play around this. For example, you could like discard a spell with your Diabel Star if you have access to one that you could discard, and at that point you would just not put Poplar in the back row because you want to keep it in the grave for Flamberge later. So there are plays around this. It has come up that I've been able to do it even without searching my Snake Ash with Bonfire. But either way, Selene is crazy. It gets you an early Apo and lets you play safe from Nibiru. So insta include, in my opinion. 2 Promethean. I hate to say this, but the second Promethean did come up for me multiple times in my climbs, so I really like it on turn 3. It's really, really good to be able to go Promethean again on turn 3. That being said, if you guys don't have the second Promethean, you can definitely replace it with, like, you know, a really good IP target, or if you have it, the Eternity is a really good inclusion. Eternity is really, really good because you can actually Xyz summon on your opponent's turn using the Fire King Sanctuary. So, you know, Eternity is not a bad option. You know, if you have it, you could do that. We have obviously the Amblo, the Appaloosa, the Zealantis. You guys already know why, and the Raging Phoenix. I haven't summoned this once, but supposedly it's a must run, so I'm running it. All in all, in conclusion, what I want to say is this deck is not solved yet. There are many ways to play it. You'll see people running. Oh, she's not called Consort anymore. She's called Courtier, I think. Courtier. Some people are running the Courtier and the OG Garunix, so the old Garunix in here. And that is, you know, a valid way to play it. At that point, you would definitely run the Xyz. There's definitely a lot of ways to play this deck. We have someone in the Discord who's running Barong and having much more Fire King focused lines, or at least like more. He's like literally playing both decks at the same time instead of just using the Fire King engine as just like a way of boosting Snake Eyes. So there are definitely other ways to play this deck, and I don't think the list is solved at all yet in Master Duel. So am I saying this is the only or best way to play Fire King Snake Eyes? No, but I also don't think that you can just say with confidence that a more Fire King focused variant is objectively better. I think we just don't know. From my testing, I preferred a more Snake Eyes focused variant, and I really like this build. It's doing good for me in ladder, so I don't really think you can go wrong with this. And over time, if you want to adjust it and test more Fire King, I highly recommend it. Make the deck your own. You know, I'm always in favor of that. Seriously, like, the point of these videos is to help introduce you to a deck, but it's not to tell you that you shouldn't be experimenting, obviously. That's basically the deck profile. I hope it was helpful. I'm sorry, it came out a bit later than I wanted it to. Honestly, it's because I didn't sleep last night just to like open the new pack. And then after, I was so dead that I just fell asleep in the middle of the day. So that's a big L on my part, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you. And yeah, peace. Oh, and make sure to sign up for the tournament. The link is in the description. Okay.